One of the worst things that can happen is when you are trying so hard to grow your e-commerce brand to the next level. Maybe you're doing $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, maybe even $100,000 a month, but you still struggle to take it to the next level. For some reason, you don't know what it is. Your e-commerce brand just isn't growing past that level. What do you do? Why is this even happening? Now, trust me when I say this, I've been there hundreds of times because I've been doing this for so long and I've been working with a lot of e-commerce brands in different niches, and I've seen this happen often. It might be kind of surprising to you, but for me personally, it's a good thing that I know this, but there's really only a few key reasons why most e-commerce brands aren't able to scale past a certain level, why most Shopify stores come to this level and then just end up failing. So if you don't want to be one of those Shopify or e-commerce stores in general, doesn't matter if you're Shopify, WooCommerce, whatever the case might be, and you want to continue growing your store instead of just plateauing and then eventually dying out, you need to watch this video until the end, because to be honest with you, this did take me about 5 to 6 years to really understand. Because in the beginning, I was there with every Shopify store I started. I mean, the first Shopify store I started, it was a whopping failure. I did $0. It was a plateau at zero. I just could not, for whatever reason, get it past that zero level. The second store was a little bit better. It still was at zero, but I was actually getting traffic on that e-commerce brand, so it didn't necessarily die out at zero. It died out with like 5,000 people and visitors in general. The third e-commerce brand, however, that I started was a hit. It wasn't really at zero. It did do over $100,000 and it did $500,000 before I unfortunately got suspended with Facebook. But since that time period, I've worked with a lot of e-commerce brands, not only personal ones, but also under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing. And there are only two main things which define an e-commerce brand as one, which is basically not growing. As you can see on my screen right here, this is an example of an e-commerce brand which has pretty much plateaued. And this is the first example of a store which just whatever you do, it just won't grow past a certain level. So as you can see with this e-commerce brand, there were certain spikes upwards where on that given day, the sales literally went through the roof. It amazed us all and we thought this was going to be it. This is when we were going to be able to scale this e-commerce brand. However, the very next day, it kind of went back to reality. But of course, bad times don't also last, because once you follow the techniques, you will start to see that your e-commerce brand start to get a little bit of more momentum. You're doing much more in sales every single day, and that too consistently, rather than having to deal with all of these ups and downs and all of these weird days where it's a bunch of sales and then the next day just cricket. So this is just one store example. The next example is here where an e-commerce brand that's not going up might actually be going down. So it might be going downwards from a stage of consistency like this e-commerce brand did right here. But of course, after you do certain techniques, after you kind of implement certain strategies, that's when things start to go back up. There's a little bit more consistency. So it really all comes down to how you can take that unprofitability, how you can take that inconsistency where it's just not growing, tweak a few things, because in reality, these changes and these results that came after were just a result of a few tweaks, but you need to know what to do exactly to get to these levels. But in addition, an e-commerce brand that might not necessarily be going upwards can be characterized as one where your Google ads or maybe even your Facebook ads campaigns for that matter just aren't spending their full budget. So no matter what you do, every single day is just kind of hitting this barrier. Like for example, with this e-commerce brand, the budgets were very, very high. However, as you can see with the overall cost of this account, it kind of varied significantly. So on some days it would spend $73, on the next day it would be $36. So this would be more like an e-commerce brand where no matter what budget you set it at, it's just not growing. So the first thing kind of that comes to mind as to why your e-commerce brand probably isn't growing is you are not expanding your reach. So when it comes to Google ads and even Facebook ads for that matter, it's all about reach. Are you able to reach certain people or not? So for example, if we go to my legendary example of 3D printers, because obviously, you know, I'm just in love with 3D printers for whatever reason, because I have them in every video. And if you haven't been watching all of my videos, make sure to subscribe, make sure to check out my Google Ads playlist. There's a whole bunch of videos which can take you from zero, wherever you are even, not just zero, all the way up to $1 million a month or more. But going back to our example of 3D printer, you need to expand your reach. One of the main reasons why your e-commerce brand is not growing is because you have reached a plateau with the reach itself. So for instance, with 3D printer, let's assume the only keyword here is this one right here. There's no other keywords that you can rank for with 3D printer. So what do we see here when it comes to our reach, at least with Google Ads? So we see that our reach is about 450,000 average monthly searches every single month, which means in any given time. So for example, let's look at a time period of October of 2021. We see search volume is 550K. If you were selling a 3D printer in October of 2021, you are not gonna be able to advertise this product or show this product to more than 550,000 impressions, or basically 550,000 eyeballs during that time period. So you are limited by your reach, you are limited by the average monthly searches of this product. It's 550K maximum. There's just no way that you can go in and if you were selling in October, just increase your budgets or do whatever magic trick you want to do, which can suddenly increase it from 550K to now you're getting 1 million impressions. It's just not possible with Google Ads, and also with a lot of other advertising platforms you might want to be using. So one main reason why you're not able to scale past a certain level, grow to the next level, is you are limiting yourself with your reach. So one easy kind of tactic is you want to use multiple platforms. So let's say, for example, Google, it's 550K, but maybe on Facebook, there's a special interest of 3D printers where there's 1 million people following it. So now your reach increased another 1 million. Maybe on TikTok, there's more 3D printer fans, like 500,000 fans of 3D printers. You just increase your reach by another 500K. So very simple thing to do. This is why I always say, don't just put your eggs all in one basket. I'm a big believer of Google Ads. However, even in certain cases, you just shouldn't only be doing Google Ads, like in this one right here. But in addition, you don't necessarily just need to increase your reach by going to multiple platforms. You can increase your reach by just advertising more of the same product. So for instance, if I have one model of a 3D printer, maybe out of this 550K, maybe about 5,000 people really like that model, and the rest of the 545K didn't necessarily like that model, or they just don't want to buy it for whatever reason. So now you limited your reach even more from 500K to just 5,000, and even from this 5,000, for whatever reason, only a handful will buy because maybe the rest don't have money, or maybe someone's wallet got stolen, or somebody's dog ate their credit cards. You know, whatever the reason might be, you are very limited when it comes to the overall buying pool of audience members who actually want your product. So one easy way that's an alternative to just expanding to multiple platforms is just expand to multiple products. So don't just sell one 3D printer model, sell like 5 or 10, have different styles, designs, specifications, etc., etc., because now you are reaching more of this 550K audience. At least some of these 3D printers that you have might kind of resonate with other parts of this audience. Other people within this overall audience group will want to buy some of your other 3D printers, because now you just gave them a bit more choices. And I do agree that you shouldn't give them too many choices, but you don't need to do this all on one product page. Have multiple product pages, even if it's like the same style of a product, just sell it on a different product page. So don't limit your scale of your e-commerce brand by limiting your reach. Find ways to expand it. It's the number one thing that I've seen happen so many times, where a lot of e-commerce brands just can't scale their brands because of this problem. And by the way, a lot of these e-commerce brands I currently work with, like I mentioned, under my Google Ads agency, Euro Marketing, which if you're doing around $30,000 or more per month, you need a little bit of extra help scaling your e-commerce brand to the next level just with Google. Go onto my website at euromarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can make that happen. But this kind of makes me remind myself of way number 2 as to why a lot of e-commerce brands aren't able to grow, and that is your ads suck. And this is especially true for you if you already know some competitors who are just crushing it with a similar product, or just are in the same niche and they're consistently doing well with their ads. I'm sorry to break it to you, but your ads probably suck. You need to spend a little bit of extra time making your ads better. If you're doing Facebook, make your ad copies better, find a better video ad, maybe even try image ads for that matter, but just try something different, because whatever you're doing right now, especially if your competitor is in the same niche, they're doing better and it's just not working for you. So you gotta try a different ad copy. Maybe it's the wrong targeting. Maybe you're trying to sell 3D printers, but you're targeting people who love 3D replicas of cars or something. Or maybe you want to sell oranges, but you're targeting people who love to eat apples. So these miscommunication when it comes to targeting can be one of the biggest reasons why a lot of e-commerce brands aren't able to find the amount of success they want to achieve and grow their e-commerce brand to the next level. In addition, you might just be simply on the wrong platform. I mean, if you are basically trying to advertise to the younger audience, like 15, 20-year-olds, maybe 25-year-olds, there's no reason why you should be advertising on Pinterest, because Pinterest obviously is a bunch of older females and males. I think it's mostly females, but you need to know if your audience is on that platform which you are trying to target on. For example, that's why I really like Google, because with Google, it doesn't matter if you're trying to target younger audience or older. As long as people are searching for it, Google will try its best to serve to the right audience regardless of what demographic it's in, and try to find you that buying intent audience. But otherwise, if you're trying to sell in other advertising platforms, focus on your ad copies, focus on your ads in general. There's something wrong with it, especially if your competitors are really just crushing it. But this again brings me to the next point of why you're not able to scale your e-commerce brand to the next level, and that is you don't have any sort of funnel. Now, don't get this wrong, but just having a website does not guarantee you're gonna get sales. I mean, that should be a given. But a lot of e-commerce store owners don't necessarily realize this. They just kind of throw something up, like throwing spaghetti on the wall or something, and they try to get up a website as fast as possible because, you know, everybody's excited about launching those campaigns, seeing those results come in, seeing that money trickle in, because everybody wants to scale their brand to the next level. But without a proper funnel, so this funnel again should take them from the landing page to the next cart page to the checkout page all the way up to purchase. And the funnel here really starts on the actual ad copy itself. So with Google Ads, it starts on the shopping listing when they see your ad at the very top, or a search ad. With Facebook, it starts with the ad that they see on their Facebook newsfeed. But this funnel, you can't look over it, because this is an integral part of your success with e-commerce. You're not going to be able to scale if you don't have this right, period. So that's what you need to do. You need to kind of figure out what is going on when somebody sees your ad to the next step, which is going on your landing page to the next step of add to cart, to checkout, to purchase, etc. Where the drop off is, why there's a drop off, and what you can do to fix it. Don't just stare at your screen, just kind of thinking about what to do. Actually take action, do A/B testing. I have a video on my channel which you can take a look at about A/B testing properly. But understand how your website is performing, because your website again is a very integral part of you finding success and scaling your e-commerce brand to the next level. But in essence, if your website isn't working, it just comes down to your customers not liking what they see. I mean, looks are very important both in the real world as well as on the online world. It's hard to break it to you if you didn't believe that, but that's just how it works. Because those people that have a more beautiful website than you, especially your competitors, that's easy to kind of maneuver, they're gonna get your sales. So you gotta make sure you are following the path of having a very good ad funnel and making sure to drive your customers down that funnel. But that's not it, because the next reason why you're not really able to get a lot of sales, or you're not able to scale at all with your e-commerce brand, is your products suck. Unfortunately, there is no way around having a good product. You need to simply invest time in doing proper product research. Like I always say with my Google Ads videos with product research, if you're using Google Ads to sell your products, do keyword research. Doesn't matter if you run a brand or you're selling product from China from some random supplier. Make sure to do keyword research. Make sure the product you're trying to sell matches the criteria we have. I'm not going to go into detail about it here because I've made a gazillion videos about that on my channel. But again, with your products, if nobody wants the product, if nobody wants that specific design, it doesn't matter if there's 5 million or 50 billion people searching for it, it's just not gonna sell. In addition, you have to make sure that your product is not seasonal. So right now when I'm recording this video, it's kind of summertime. So in summertime, a heater is going to be a losing product. That's just the reality. You might have had a heater sell for you like hotcakes in December, January, but that product is seasonal. You have to understand that you cannot force people to buy in the non-season time. In addition, along with seasonality, you got to look at saturation, because saturation is real, believe it or not. If a product is sold too much, or if you have too many competitors, it's going to be a bit difficult to sell that product during certain time periods. So you got to make sure that your product isn't necessarily too saturated as well. But really take a look at your product, make sure it doesn't suck too much. And when I say suck, you just need to really look into the product research that you use. Make sure you have a way of making your product stand out of the crowd, regardless of what advertising platform you use. But the fifth reason why you're really not finding it successful to scale your brand is you're penalized in some way. Now, this can happen to you if you have a very bad Facebook page score, or if your previous account was suspended with Facebook and you keep on facing those suspensions with your Facebook ads account. After a time, even Facebook gets a hang of who is a good advertiser, who is not a good advertiser, etc. And if you have too many of these on your record, obviously that's going to impact your performance negatively. But in addition, you might have account suspensions when it comes to the Google Merchant Center, your Google Ads account. Maybe Google has kind of blacklisted your URL of your store or your address, even in extreme cases. And that's very true. Even if you get like a approved in that manner, Facebook or Google might still have some sort of penalty associated with your brand, which you need to kind of look into. So that's why I always say you need to look into the diagnostic section of your Google Merchant Center. You got to look at your account health to make sure that there are no major issues with your brand. So for example, when it comes to Google Merchant Center, one of the best sections I always like to look at to kind of know how my feed is doing is by going to the product section on the left, going to the diagnostic section. So for example, you can see here active items 98%, disapproved items 2%. So that means the health of my account right here of my Google Merchant Center is 98% level. It's not 100%. I'm not at full health. So I need to do something to get it at full health, because if it's not at full health, think of it like a video game. If your character is not at full health, it's going to be easier for your competitor to come in and just kill you or crush you. Same thing here. If your account is not at full health, then what's going to happen is your competitors who are at 100% feed optimization are going to come in, and it's going to be easier for them to rank in front of you at a lower bid and all sorts of those lower stats. So you definitely don't want that to happen, and you need to make sure you have a proper feed optimized that is fully optimized even via the Simprocess app in the back end. So it doesn't matter how you optimize it, just make sure you don't have any errors here. Make sure you provide all of the necessary information needed on the back end of your e-commerce brand as well, because if you get penalized, then your quality score with Google Ads will drop. Once it drops, then it's very difficult to just continue the results and have them continue to come in. So improve your feed optimization, improve your feed, make sure you don't have any kinds of significant errors here, because that's going to be the biggest issue when it comes to your Google Ads account or just your e-commerce brand in general. But this brings me to kind of the final point as to why you're probably not able to scale your e-commerce brand, and that is you're just focusing on paid ads. I'm sorry to break it to you, but focusing on just paid ads is no longer a viable strategy in 2022 and onwards. In fact, if you do things like SEO, you have a blog, you're focusing on search engine optimization for organic traffic with Google Ads directly, it's going to directly impact your Google Ads results. You're going to get much more results than the average Joe Schmo just running Google Ads campaigns. And same thing with Facebook. You can't just rely on running really good ad copies with Facebook. It's a collective process of everything coming in together, everything working together for that collective wholes. So again, you need to take a very broad approach. Make sure all parts of the funnel are as perfect as they can be, because in 2022, 2023 and onwards, without a very broad approach and without everything in place, it's going to be very difficult for you to scale in the long term. And one easy way to kind of have a broad approach is just start by doing something other than just paid traffic. Try to focus on free traffic as well. There's a lot of good ways to get that free traffic rolling in. And once you get that free traffic rolling in, it doesn't matter if you really advertise too much or not, because you are consistently going to have some types of visitors and as a result sales on a daily basis. But these are just a few reasons why I've seen so many e-commerce brands not be able to scale past a certain level. If this is one of you and you need a little bit of extra help, especially if you're already doing $30,000 or more per month and you need help with Google Ads directly, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can make that happen. But if you found any type of value in this video, destroy that like button, destroy that subscribe button, and check out any of the videos right here on the screen or my Google Ads playlist. But I will see you in my next video.